there is a small island in the North Atlantic that sits directly on top of two tectonic plates pulling apart from each other at a rate of about 2 centimeters every year. Most of the time, that sounds harmless. 2 centimeters. Less than the width of your thumb. But on that island, those 2 centimeters represent something far more violent, a planet actively tearing itself open, right beneath the feet of 370,000 people. Iceland has always been volcanic. That is not the story. The story is what started happening in October 2023 on the Reykjanes Peninsula, a stretch of black lava rock in southwestern Iceland that had been completely quiet for 800 years, 8 centuries of silence. And then, without warning, the ground began to crack. What followed was not a single eruption. It was not 2. It was not 3. Since November 2023, the Reykjanes Peninsula has erupted 6 separate times in 14 months. The same fault, the same area, over and over again. Each eruption opening new fissures, each fissure longer than the last. Each event more unpredictable than the one before it. Volcanologists have a name for what they are watching. They call it a volcanic reawakening, a period when a system that has been dormant for centuries suddenly restarts and begins cycling through eruptions at a pace that no living scientist has ever observed in this location before. But here is where it stops being a geology lecture and starts being something else entirely. The town of Grindavik sits at the edge of the Reykjanes Peninsula. Population 3,400 people, fishing families, generations of Icelanders who built their homes on that black rock because for 800 years, nothing happened there. In November 2023, the entire town was evacuated in a single night. Residents had 2 hours to grab what they could carry. Some came back weeks later to find their streets split open by ground fractures running directly beneath their foundations. Some came back to find nothing left at all, their homes consumed by lava that moved slowly but stopped for nothing. Grindavik has been evacuated 4 times since then. 4 times. The same families, the same 2 hours. The same impossible choice between what you can carry and what you have to leave behind. And still the ground keeps moving. Scientists monitoring the peninsula have recorded something that genuinely has no modern precedent. The magma system beneath Reykjanes is not behaving like a standard volcanic cycle. Instead of building pressure, erupting, and then going quiet while it recharges, which is the normal pattern, it is erupting, partially releasing, and then recharging almost immediately. The recharge window between eruptions has been shrinking with each cycle. What took months at the beginning now takes weeks. What took weeks is beginning to take days. The system is accelerating, and nobody can explain why. To understand why scientists are using words they almost never use in public, you have to understand what sits 3 kilometers northeast of the eruption zone, the Blue Lagoon, one of the most visited tourist destinations on the planet. Over 1 million visitors every year, a geothermal spa built directly on top of a lava field, fed by water from the same volcanic system that is now cycling through eruptions every few weeks. It has been evacuated and closed multiple times since the reawakening began. Each time, tourists were given hours to leave. Each time, the staff packed up, locked the doors, and watched the sky turn orange from a safe distance. But the Blue Lagoon is not the real concern. 4 kilometers further northeast sits Sportsengi Power Station. This single facility provides geothermal electricity and hot water to nearly 30,000 homes across the entire southwestern corner of Iceland. It is not a backup system. It is not one of several options. It is the only source of heat and power for that entire region. When lava flows came within meters of its perimeter walls during the most recent eruptions, engineers worked around the clock building defensive barriers, walls of rock and earth piled 15 meters high, trying to redirect lava flows away from infrastructure that cannot be replaced quickly. Those walls have held so far. But here's what volcanologists are not saying loudly enough in press releases. Defensive lava barriers work against slow-moving flows on flat ground. They do not work against everything. If the eruption source migrates, if the fissure opens on the other side of the barrier, or closer to the station, or at a higher elevation, those walls become irrelevant overnight. And fissure migration is exactly what has been happening with every successive eruption on the Reykjanes Peninsula. Each new eruption has opened in a slightly different location than the last. the target keeps moving. The infrastructure stays still. Now zoom out from Iceland for a moment, because this is where the story becomes genuinely unprecedented in a way that connects to every person watching this, not just the 370,000 Icelanders living above it. The Reykjanes Peninsula sits on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, the longest mountain range on Earth, running 16,000 kilometers along the floor of the Atlantic Ocean. It is the boundary where the North American plate and the Eurasian plate pull apart from each other. Iceland is one of the only places on Earth where that boundary rises above sea level, making it visible, measurable, and terrifyingly observable in real time. What scientists are watching in Iceland right now is not an isolated volcanic event. It is a window into a planetary process, the acceleration they are documenting. The shrinking recharge window, the migrating fissures, the escalating frequency, has prompted a genuine debate among volcanologists about whether the Reykjanes system is entering a new long-term eruptive period, not months, not years, decades. The last time Reykjanes entered a period like this, it lasted for 300 years. 13 generations of eruptions, 13 generations of fire and displacement and rebuilt coastlines. And the generation living through the beginning of that cycle had no idea how long it would last. Sound familiar? The scientists monitoring Reykjanes today have better instruments than anyone in history. They have GPS networks, satellite imagery, gas emission sensors, and real-time seismic arrays that can detect movement measured in millimeters. And with all of that technology, with all of that data streaming in every second of every day, the honest answer they give when asked how long this continues is the same answer scientists have always given about volcanoes: we do not know. That uncertainty is not a failure of science. It is the honest truth about what volcanoes are: systems so large, so deep, and so complex that even the most advanced monitoring technology on Earth can only tell you what is happening right now, not what comes next. But right now is alarming enough. The latest data from the Icelandic Meteorological Office shows magma accumulation beneath the Reykjanes Peninsula continuing at an elevated rate, ground deformation. The swelling of the Earth's surface as magma pushes upward from below is being recorded across a wider area than any previous cycle since the reawakening began. That widening footprint tells scientists one thing clearly: the system is not shrinking. It is not stabilizing. It is growing. Grindavik still stands. Most of it. The streets that were swallowed by lava have been cordoned off permanently. The houses that survived sit empty. Their owners relocated to other towns, waiting for a signal that may never come. A signal that says it is finally safe to go home. Some have stopped waiting. Some have already sold. Some cannot sell because no buyer will purchase a home on ground that has shifted 4 times in 14 months. The human cost of this reawakening is not measured only in destroyed buildings. It is measured in the quieter losses. The fishing boats still docked in a harbor nobody lives near anymore. The school that reopened and reopened again. The elderly residents who built their entire lives on that black rock and now sleep in temporary housing watching the orange glow on the horizon that used to be their skyline. Iceland is showing the world something it has never seen in recorded history: a volcanic system restarting in real time, accelerating with each cycle, reshaping a coastline that people call home, and offering no timeline, no endpoint, and no guarantee that the next eruption will be contained to the same ground as the last. The volcano is not finished. It is just getting started.